10 a.m., but I think this is the proper inauguration of the Dodgers' second annual Fan Fest by having Mr. Grand Marshal of the Rose Parade and Hall of Famer Vin Scully come address the crowd and the fans.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant and buenos dias. I don't know about you, but I am starving to death for baseball. I mean, I feel sorry for them. The Lakers are having a terrible time. The Kings are struggling. They can't do very much either. And if you're like I am, outside of the Super Bowl, which is now in the way, once we're over that, then it's all baseball all the time. This is a tremendous turnout, but it only follows the feeling that we had here in the ballpark last year. As you can imagine, I have seen a lot of large crowds, either here or back at Yankee Stadium or wherever the ball club went. And we had very large crowds. But the different thing about the crowd last year that made it different than any other crowd that I've ever experienced, and I feel the crowd, believe me, the cheers, the roars, that's what eventually got me involved in this in the first place. But last year's crowd was the happiest crowd I've ever seen. One of the reasons, if you had spent some time looking into the Dodger dugout, you would also see it was probably the happiest team I've seen in many years. And if people asked me all winter, too bad about last year, and I said, well, look at it. We came within one pitch, one fractured rib, and 2 games of the World Series. How close can it be? Well, I'm looking forward to seeing not only an exciting Dodger team this year, as you are, but I'm hoping and praying we will continue to have the happiest crowds that I've ever seen. And looking at you today, that's what we have. Bless your heart. Thank you. I love you, and I say that, and I mean it. They mentioned the Grand Parade, and I had 2 things on my mind. Number one, I was going to sit in that convertible and applaud the people on the sidelines of Colorado Boulevard, because I wanted all of you to know how grateful I am, how meaningful you are in my life. So I tried to applaud the entire 5.5 miles. I never made it. My shoulders started to ache, and at the end of it, I was giving it about that, you know. And the other thing that was very much on my mind was going to the bathroom. I mean, have you ever thought about that? Here you are, suddenly you're sitting in a convertible, you gotta go miles for hours, and on your mind is saying, will I make it? A friend of mine, actually, and I won't give you his name, but he's very famous, was a Grand Marshal of the Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York. His wife, and of course that's November in New York, it's cold, his wife bought him a beautiful topcoat, a very expensive topcoat, and he sat there on his throne on the float and had to go to the bathroom. You got it? Yes, oh. And the coat wound up being cleaned and burned, I believe. So he told me that, wouldn't you know, just a couple of days before the parade. And it really began to terrify me. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you really had to go and there was nowhere to go. Yeah, welcome to the club. Anyway, with a great deal of prayer and thanksgiving, I made it all the way. You want to talk about relief? That was the greatest relief since Eric Gagne. You know, when I was a little boy, one of the reasons I went towards sports in New York, we had a big old radio in the living room, 4-legged, had a cross piece underneath, and I was 8 or 9, and I'd get a pillow, and I'd crawl under the radio. There was no television, In fact, we're lucky that we had invented fire by that time when I was a kid. Anyway, I would crawl under and I would listen to some meaningless football game, let's say Mississippi, Alabama. Didn't mean very much to a kid in New York, but the roar of the crowd is what absolutely got me completely. And that's why if somebody does something really good, if Yasiel Puig hits a home run and the crowd roars, I really don't want to speak. I want to sit there because the roar of the crowd pours over me, honestly, like taking a shower, water coming out of a shower head. So just for me to be here today, after fighting the traffic, and to be honest, I was a little late. Nevertheless, you folks are forgiving. The Dodgers are the same. I'm here, and I cannot tell you what a great privilege and an honor it is to be able to visit with you for a couple of minutes today. There are a lot of people who are going to be here between now and 4 o'clock, and I certainly don't want to hog the stage, but I do find it tough to walk away from all those smiling faces. So God bless, and we'll look forward to seeing you opening day. In fact, if you really want to go to opening day, I'll see you in Australia. Thank you and bye-bye.
The great Vin Scully. All right, some more, please.
I'll tell you what.
Say it! Say it!
I tried to play baseball. And I played it in high school, and I played at Sandlot, and then I played it in college. And probably the greatest moment, although I didn't realize it at the time, I was playing for Fordham University back in New York. That would be like Loyola, Santa Clara, Catholic University back east. And we were playing baseball against Yale University. And although I didn't know then, later on I found out the first baseman for Yale was George Herbert Walker Bush, who became the President of the United States. Many years later now, I have the privilege of meeting the former president, and we begin talking about that game. Yale won it 2-1, but it was a really good game. And I finally had the pleasure to say to the President of the United States, as long as